Imagine for a moment that everything you desire, peace, clarity, purpose, but there's something even deeper, a path to enlightenment so simple and accessible that you could begin to walk it right now. What would you do if I told you that by the end of this video, you would learn about a method that could completely transform your view of life and the universe? A revelation that, at its core, will forever change the way you understand your existence. Today, we will explore a topic that has intrigued great thinkers, mystics, and seekers throughout time: enlightenment, a concept that may sound distant and complex, but is actually much simpler than you've been led to believe. Over the next few minutes, we will uncover hidden truths, timeless teachings, and essential practices that can bring you closer to that transcendental experience we call enlightenment. Allow me to make you a promise. The final revelation I share with you will undoubtedly be the most powerful of all, and when you get there, you will understand why. So stay with me as we unveil this mystery. The concept of enlightenment has been misunderstood throughout history. For many, it seems to be a state reserved for a few enlightened beings, an unattainable goal that only a select few saints, gurus, or mystics can achieve. But what if I told you it's not about reaching something outside of yourself, but rather about remembering who you already are? The ancient sages of the East, like Buddha, taught that enlightenment is simply awakening from the dream of separation. It is understanding that you are not merely a physical body with a limited mind, but a manifestation of universal consciousness. Buddha, in his teachings on the Noble Eightfold Path, emphasized the importance of living with mindfulness, cultivating compassion, and freeing oneself from attachment to fleeting things. These practices were not intended only for monks or ascetics, but for anyone willing to look inward. Think about that for a moment, right now. As you listen to these words, what thoughts cross your mind? Are you fully present, or is your attention drifting between memories of the past and worries about the future? This is a crucial key. Enlightenment begins with the ability to be here and now. One of the great obstacles on the path to enlightenment is the constant noise of our mind. We live trapped in a torrent of thoughts, emotions, and distractions that prevent us from experiencing the truth of our being. The yogis of India called it Maya, the illusion that clouds our perception and makes us believe we are only separate individuals in a material world. But this illusion can fade away if we learn to quiet our minds. This is where one of the simplest and most effective tools comes in: meditation. But wait, before you think you need hours of practice or spiritual retreats, let me tell you something. Meditation is not complicated. In fact, all you need to do is sit in silence, close your eyes, and observe your breath. Inhale deeply, right now, and feel how the air fills your lungs. Exhale and feel your body relaxing. This simple act is a portal to your inner self. The great master Ramana Maharshi said that the fundamental question for awakening is, who am I? Not who you think you are, not your roles, your name, or your story, but the observer that lies behind all of that. The next time you find yourself lost in thought, ask yourself, who is thinking this? This simple exercise can help dismantle layers of illusion and lead you to a deeper understanding of your true nature. But enlightenment isn't just about sitting in meditation or asking profound questions. It also involves recognizing the beauty in the everyday. Thich Nhat Hanh, a contemporary Zen master, said that even washing the dishes can be a meditative act if done with full attention. Enlightenment isn't separate from daily life. It's in the way you relate to the world, in how you see a flower, in how you listen to the song of a bird, or in how you appreciate someone's smile. So I ask you, what if you began to see every moment of your life as an opportunity to connect with the divine? What if every action, no matter how small, was a step on this path toward enlightenment? Don't worry if you feel that this concept is still abstract or distant. We are just beginning, and the upcoming revelations will delve even deeper into how you can integrate these practices into your life and achieve a state of peace and clarity beyond what you ever imagined. Have you ever wondered why, despite having everything, many people still feel an inner emptiness? In the next part, we will explore why this emptiness exists, how to identify it, and most importantly, how to fill it with a deeper connection to your essential self. The sensation of inner emptiness is something many experience, even those who seemingly have a fulfilling life. This emptiness isn't about lacking material things, achievements, or relationships. It's a deep calling from our being, a sign that something essential has been ignored. That feeling of incompleteness arises when we disconnect from our essence, from that divine spark that resides in all of us. Throughout history, great spiritual seekers have spoken of this emptiness as an opportunity. It's a reminder that we have sought outside what can only be found within. Eckhart Tolle, a renowned contemporary spiritual teacher, describes it as the pain of separation, that disconnect from our true nature. But here's the secret. This emptiness is not something you need to fill with external things, but rather a space you must fully inhabit. How do you do this? First, it's crucial to acknowledge the existence of the emptiness, instead of running from it. Let's face it, when you stop and allow yourself to feel that inner space, without judgments or distractions, something magical begins to happen. You realize that the emptiness is not an enemy. It's a portal to a deeper understanding of who you really are. Most of us fill this emptiness with distractions, social media, work, entertainment, or even relationships. All of this may provide temporary gratification, but it will never address the root of the problem. To reconnect with your essential self, you need something more profound. You need to stop, breathe, and listen. A powerful practice to explore this emptiness and transform it is self-observation. This technique, used by mystics from various traditions, involves observing yourself without identifying with your thoughts or emotions. For instance, if you feel sadness or frustration, instead of saying, "I am sad," you might say, "I am experiencing sadness." This simple shift in perspective allows you to understand that you are not your emotions or your thoughts. You are thoughts, witness of all that. In this exploration, gratitude also plays a crucial role. It may seem paradoxical to talk about gratitude when feeling emptiness, but therein lies its power. When you start to be grateful even for small things, the air you breathe, the warmth of the sun, the beating of your heart, your perception shifts. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It's a tool to tune into the abundance of the universe. Another key to advancing on this path is detachment. Often our suffering comes from our attachment to ideas, things, or people. It's not about giving up everything, but about changing our relationship with what we value. By learning to let go, we create space for the true and essential to enter our lives. As philosopher and spiritual teacher Jiddu Krishnamurti said, "Freedom is not merely being free from something, but being free within yourself. It is no longer a dark and feared space. It becomes fertile ground for spiritual growth." You start to discover that within that emptiness, there is a deep connection to the divine, a sense of fulfillment that does not depend on anything external, but there's more. Many spiritual teachings agree that true enlightenment is not just for oneself. Once you connect with your essential being, the desire to share that light with others naturally arises. When you expand your consciousness, you also expand your ability to love, understand, and serve. As the Sufi master Hazrat Inayat Khan said, "Enlightenment is not an end, but the beginning of a new life dedicated to the service of humanity." So what steps can you take right now to move closer to that fulfillment? The answer is not in a magic formula, but in the choices you make each day. Spend a few minutes meditating. Reflect on your thoughts and actions. Practice gratitude. Let go of what no longer serves, and trust that the universe will guide you to where you need to be. In the next part, we will explore a fundamental aspect that is often overlooked: the role of love and compassion as direct paths to enlightenment. We will discover how these principles not only transform our lives, but also open the door to a deeper connection with the whole. Love and compassion are transformative forces that have been at the core of the teachings of great spiritual masters across all traditions, from Jesus to the Dalai Lama, from Buddha to Lao Tzu. These figures have emphasized that love is not just an emotion, but a state of being, a direct expression of our connection to the divine essence. However, when we talk about love and compassion, we're not just referring to romantic feelings or the affection we have for those closest to us. We're talking about an unconditional love, a force that transcends the limits of the ego and recognizes the unity among all beings. This type of love doesn't demand or expect anything in return. It simply is one of the most direct ways to experience this unconditional love. It's through active compassion. Compassion, at its core, is the genuine desire to alleviate the suffering of others. It's not about feeling pity. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and acting from that understanding. When we cultivate compassion, we not only help others, but we also transform our own consciousness. The Tibetan master Chogyam Trungpa described compassion as the natural and simple opening of our hearts to everything around us. This kind of openness is key to enlightenment. When we allow ourselves to see the suffering of others without shutting down, something within us changes. We stop seeing ourselves as separate beings and begin to feel part of a greater whole. Think about it. How many times have you felt disconnected or isolated, as if the world were against you? That feeling of separation is an illusion created by the ego, by the belief that we are independent and autonomous individuals. But the truth is that we are deeply interconnected. Every action you take affects others, and every act of love or compassion you offer has a bigger impact than you might think. The practice of love and compassion begins with yourself. Many times, we are our own harshest critics. We judge ourselves, we demand too much of ourselves, and we rarely give ourselves the space to be vulnerable or imperfect. But love for others can only be authentic when we've learned to love ourselves. This is not a selfish act, but an act of recognition. When you love yourself, you acknowledge your inner divinity, and that recognition naturally extends to others. A powerful technique for cultivating compassion is the Buddhist practice known as loving kindness meditation, or metta meditation. This practice involves generating wishes for well-being, happiness, and peace, first towards yourself and then towards others, progressively expanding them to include. It's a constant reminder that love and compassion have no bounds, and we are capable of feeling them at any moment if we choose to. Along this journey, it's important to remember that love and compassion are not signs of weakness. In a world that often values strength and self-sufficiency, it may seem that opening our hearts makes us vulnerable. However, it is actually the opposite. Love and compassion are expressions of an unbreakable inner strength, a deep recognition that what truly matters. Compassion also has a transformative effect on our relationships. When we begin to see others as extensions of ourselves, judgments and barriers fade away. Empathy allows us to connect on a deeper level, creating relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. This shift not only benefits our personal interactions, but also contributes to the collective awakening of humanity. But love and compassion are not just paths to individual enlightenment. They are also the keys to healing the world. On a planet filled with conflict, inequality, and suffering, every act of love, no matter how small, has the power to create a positive impact. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So I invite you to reflect. What role do love and compassion play in your life? How can you cultivate more of these qualities, both towards yourself and those around you? The answer may not come immediately, but it's important to begin exploring these questions with honesty and openness. In the next part, we will take the final step on this journey, exploring the connection between enlightenment and total surrender to the present moment. We will discover how living with full presence can become the ultimate bridge to the most transformative experience of our life. Total surrender to the present moment is the final key on the path to enlightenment. All spiritual teachers, from ancient times to contemporary ones, agree on one essential truth. The only moment that truly exists is the now. Yet, for many of us, living in the present feels like a monumental task. Our minds are constantly caught between memories of the past and concerns about the future, while the present moment, which is the doorway to enlightenment, slips away from us. Eckhart Tolle, in his work, The Power of Now, asserts that the present moment is not just a fragment of time, but the only place where life truly happens. Clinging to the past or fearing the future disconnects us from our essence and keeps us imprisoned in a state of constant dissatisfaction. But by fully surrendering our attention to the present, we open the possibility to experience the fullness of being. This may sound simple in theory, but how do we put it into practice? Mindfulness is the answer. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of what is happening inside and outside of us at each moment. It's not about trying to change anything, but rather observing with an open, non-judgmental mind. For example, in this very moment, you are aware of your breath, the sounds around you, and the sensations in your body. These are gateways to the present moment, doors to enlightenment. Modern life is designed to pull us away from the present moment. From smartphones to our packed schedules, everything conspires to keep us distracted. But every time you choose to stop, take a deep breath, and observe what's happening here and now, you're challenging that current. You're reconnecting with the very source of your being. One of the most powerful practices to deepen your commitment to the present is conscious breathing. This technique, used in both yoga and meditation, involves focusing all your attention on the act of inhaling and exhaling. When you do this, your mind naturally begins to calm down, and you realize that there is an underlying stillness that has always been there, waiting to be discovered. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh spoke about the importance of finding fullness in the simplest activities. When you wash the dishes, wash them as if each dish were a sacred chalice, he would say. This doesn't mean you need to exaggerate the importance of every action, but rather that each moment has the potential to be a transcendent experience. Embracing the present also means letting go of control. Many times we resist what is, wishing things were different, but resisting the present moment only creates suffering. Accepting what is doesn't mean resignation. It means recognizing that the now is perfect just as it is, even amidst chaos or pain. This acceptance is an act of surrender that frees you from resistance and connects you to a deeper peace. Rumi, the Persian mystical poet, expressed this idea beautifully. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. This metaphor reminds us that when we are fully present, we realize we are part of something much greater. Separation fades away, along with fear and uncertainty. An important aspect of living in the present is understanding that enlightenment is not a destination to reach. It's not something that will happen someday if you do everything correctly. Enlightenment is already here, available in this moment, in every breath, in every heartbeat. The journey isn't towards some distant place. It's towards a deeper understanding of yourself. As we come to the end of this experience, it's important to reflect on what we have discovered. The easiest path to enlightenment doesn't require renouncing the world or searching for answers in far-off lands. It's about remembering who you truly are, cultivating love and compassion, embracing the inner void, and ultimately surrendering completely to the present moment. Now is the time to take action. You don't need to wait any longer. Spend a few minutes today observing your breath, feeling your body, listening to the world around you. Allow yourself to be fully present, even if just for a moment. That moment has the power to transform everything. I leave you with a question you can carry with you as you continue this journey. What would be different in your life if you lived each moment as a sacred expression of wholeness? Enlightenment is not something you seek. It's something you remember. It's here with you right now. You just need to open the eyes of your soul to see it. The rest of the path is in your hands.